Daddy gets lost. Daddy gets lost. Daddy gets lost. Munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. We have a guest this week, a very special guest, Hendrik Wijaya. He's originally from Medan in Indonesia, which is kind of up near the area near Singapore and Malaysia. He's an engineer and he's doing a PhD in engineering at the moment, plus running a consultancy business, all while having a 6-month-old daughter. Hendrik, welcome to Daddy Eats Last.
Okay, thanks for that. It's been a great pleasure to be invited to Daddy Eats Last and this experience being a young dad and juggling with all the works. And you're gonna add that one. So I have a teaching schedule twice a week as well on the top of the schedule.
You're teaching on top of that as well?
Yes, twice a week.
Wow, how on earth do you fit all of that in with a 6-month-old, especially?
Well, yeah, it's been a lot of challenge and a lot of dynamic schedule. It's been going through up until now. Every month will be different. Typically, at the first 3 months when just had a baby, get a lot of problems with the sleep deprivations because during that time the baby was not really stable in terms of the sleeping schedule, sort of waking up every 2 or 3 hours. But what I found out after 3 months, the baby sort of getting a bit more stable. And I have an amazing wife that's basically helping me at home, being a full-time wife, and do a lot of, all the housework to help me out. So I can just focus on the works. But yeah, that's about it.
Now, you and your wife are fairly new to Australia. When did you first come out to Australia?
Yeah, I came to Australia about close to 3 years ago. So basically finishing off uni back in Indonesia, had a hospitality business there as well, doing really great. So basically being voted as one of the top hospitality restaurant back there in the city. And also doing consulting business back in Indonesia. But the question comes, what's next? Because lives over there basically sort of stabilize. So what's next? And the idea just comes out in mind and just try to come to Australia and see what I can do in here. Yep.
So you came out here with when I say no fixed plan, no real plan in inverted commas of what you're intending to. You might have had some ideas, but you came out here with not a commitment of a job or not a commitment of something else. You came out here and just, okay, I'm going to come out to Australia and I'm just going to, knock it out of the park.
Good point though. So yeah, I came here without any plan at all. So just sort of having master degree and just, getting a higher degree of education. But in terms of what's next, at that time I was thinking like, that's what I'm going to find out after I came to Australia. Before I came here, I wouldn't know anything about Australia. Before I talk to the people around here, I wouldn't know what I can do in Australia. Before I jump into the business here, I wouldn't know what I can do in terms of business, what I can do in terms of education, what I can do, what sort of job basically fell in Australia, what fits me, what's not. Yeah, so it's sort of a dynamic option for me to come to Australia, just look at what I can do. But now here I am doing a PhD business and teaching all together. And obviously don't plan to having a baby as well at 24 years old.
24 years old. That's I think it's a great age to have a baby. It's a lot younger, in inverted commas, than a lot of people will have a child these days. But obviously, you and your wife have a lot more energy than people who have children a little bit older in life. So I think that's a fantastic thing as well. So just going back to you both coming out to Australia, so you have no family out here. It's just you two at the moment.
So we have quite a few, probably 2 or 3 people that we know, not really blood-related families. But the things, my principle when I came to Australia is that don't depend on anyone, don't depend on any families. So I came to Australia, being an Indonesian people, it's very easy for me to find out, hanging around with a lot of Indonesian friends, but didn't do that. Came to Australia, talk to Australian people, talk to all different peoples, and in English, obviously. And even though we met with my fellow Indonesians still try to talk in English. And yeah, that sort of helped me to understand Australia in short time, less than 3 years. But yeah, no family, no one.
I think that's amazing. Like, I complain that we don't get much help from either my parents or my wife's parents, and there's like almost an entitlement that people, I need help with my child. So to not be able to actually get that support at all, I think it's amazing what you and your wife have done. Coming out here, 6-month-old kid, combining all this sort of focus on what you're doing work and business wise, having a 6-month-old child, and then not having any sort of day-to-day support from family. I think it's really an amazing thing, and it's an uncommon thing. So I think it's great.
Yes, good point though. That's probably the benefit of having kid at a relatively young age like me. So we have a lot of energy, I suppose, at this age compared to when you're 30, 35. So that one thing that can help us a lot. The second things that I want to emphasize is that having a kid at young age and going to a foreign country where you don't really know people there, is that when you are young, you have the ability to learn better. Yeah. Rather than you come here at 40 years old and you try to learn about all this cultural stuff, it's probably a bit more difficult at that age. But for me and my wife, we are 25 years old, so it's quite challenging, but not that hard for us to learn. The good point is that we always say to each other, it's not a matter of how hard the life can be. It's just a matter of how hard you can try.
That's a really, really good. That's a really good saying. I like that a lot.
Yeah. This basically comes from my background, coming from a quite poor family with a lot of problems back in Indonesia. It basically sort of forms the personality, physically, mentally, what I've been doing until now as well.
Okay, if you don't mind sharing some of that background, how do you mean it was a difficult? It was a difficult. I say difficult upbringing. It was a difficult environment that you're in.
Since I was really young, probably since I was born, so my dad and my mom, they were not the type of people that like to work under companies or under people. So always try to get their own business running, but business doesn't always go well. We all know about that. It can be. But the problem is our business, our family business, it went wrong all the time, probably 6-7 times consecutively. So we ended up with a lot of debt with different people, ended up with running away from the state just to run away from the debt, and keep changing school in my childhood. So I don't really have a childhood friend because of that reasons. Moving to different cities, different states every 2-3 years, just because of the business failing. But yeah, this is very, very, very tough if you look at that point of view.
Yeah, and how do you get into the restaurant, into running a restaurant back there? It was with your brother before you came out here?
So basically, my dad started the restaurant, but it was not successful until I believe it's 2014. Mm-hmm. So we were still having a lot of problem with the money. So we couldn't pay the rent, couldn't pay people and stuff. We didn't get enough income. So after that, my dad passed away due to cancer. So left me and my brother in that situation. So we were like, what are we going to do? I'm in my uni. You're doing your job. But we have the restaurant now. The restaurant is in trouble. What are we going to do? So we come up with the idea, let's run this restaurant. Let's put our knowledge, whatever we can do with this. We change the management. We change some sort of the menu. And we change the way we treat people as well. So after 1 year, basically the restaurant just goes up, and now it's being voted as one of the top restaurants in the city, and we were doing really well at the moment.
Wow, so that's within 5 years. So within 5 years, you've gone from taking over the family restaurant, turning it around from something which is not working to something which is a top-rated restaurant in your city, and then you've come out to Australia. doing a PhD in engineering. You've got a consulting business. You're teaching on the side. You've got a 6-month-old. That's a lot to happen in 5 years. I can only imagine, begin to imagine what your next 5 years might look like. Do you have any sort of fixed plan for the next 5 years?
Yeah, good questions though, Ken. Yeah, look, last 5 years, 20 years old Hendrik wouldn't believe what the 25 years old Hendrik will be doing at the moment. 20 years old Hendrik wouldn't even think about doing a PhD. 20 years old Hendrik wouldn't even think about, having a very nice life, having probably you could call it a bit of luxurious life before I came to Australia. And also 20 years old Hendrik wouldn't think about having a baby, obviously. But again, yeah, in the next 5 years, good questions. I myself, I'm not sure when I'm going to be, but my intention is always opening up a lot more different sort of business, and software development is one of the things that I'm really keen on looking at. But unfortunately, if I add that to my schedule, I need maybe 40 hours a day to sort of get all the things done. But yeah, and also with these the things with the opening up the business is you're opening up a lot of opportunity for people, not only waiting for the opportunity, but you're literally opening up jobs for people to help them go through their life. Yes, probably 30 years old Hendrik probably have one more kid, maybe, and running a different sort of business. That's what I expect. Or if the business sort of field it doesn't go well, may end up in the university and being a teacher and just teaching, being a researcher as well.
Has your approach changed to what that outlook looks like since you've had your daughter? Has it changed in the last 6 months? What your next plan or your outlook is, or your mentality, or how you approach things? Has it changed at all?
Well, obviously, before having a kids, 24 years old Henry will always think about having a me time and how do we enjoy a good time, going here and there, going to different countries, having a good time, having a beer with a mate, having a whiskey, and that's all sort of enjoyment I'll always think about every weekend. After having a baby, that's where basically I start doing the business and also start all these sort of different sort of works, because now the way of looking at things is not about me, and me, but it's all about the family and the baby. So try to get the best life for the baby when she grows up. Coming from a very tough childhood, I don't want my baby to experience that. A bit tough will be good for learning experience, but not that difficult. The other things that basically change is how you approach being called a cool guy. So before having a baby, the way you're thinking of being cool is putting on nice shirts, very cool, very fashionable, all sort of things, with maybe luxury watches and stuff. But after having a baby, you're basically changing being a cool guy and to be a cool dad, and how you're basically being a cool dad now. So,
I've never heard that before. That's great.
Yeah, that's basically interesting though, because look, before having a baby, I was wearing all this luxurious stuff just to show off to people and just to look good, being cool. After having a baby, I don't really care anymore. That's totally changed. And before having a baby, in front of kids, little kids, if you ask me to play around with the kids, I didn't know what to do. But now for me, being a cool guy is being a funny dad in front of my baby. So I do a lot of funny stuff, stupid, crazy stuff in front of baby. Even in front of the public, I'll just do a stupid dancing and stuff. But that's what I think of being a cool dad now.
I don't think enough people do that. I'll walk down the street and I'm always talking to my little boy, and like we were on the bus today, I was tickling him and he was laughing and things like that. I don't think enough people kind of have enough fun with their children and sort of play up when they're in public. They might do it at home, but when they're out in public, it's all very much, okay, I want to maintain how people see me, as opposed to, just having some fun. I think it's a really good thing.
Well, yeah, I think that's all, those sort of things, probably the influence of the social media, which is why I don't really like social media at the moment. People sort of try to think how other people look at you in the modern society. But look, if you think about that, nobody really cares. They look at you, and it's just your own personal feeling that people may look at you, and people may start saying something and say, "Oh, you're funny, or you're crazy, or you look stupid." But in reality, if you really do that, like now I do that in public, and nobody really cares. Nobody posts it on social media, say this guy doing some crazy thing. But instead they may post something positive about it. Look at this guy having fun with a baby in front of the public, and we start having fun as well. Why should we care about how people look at us?
Yeah, all that matters is you're having fun, your baby's having fun, your wife's having fun. It shouldn't make any difference what other people think. And I think it's, again, really good advice that people can take on board. Just going back to how much you've got on, what does your daily routine look like? I'd imagine you'd have to be working fairly longish hours at the moment to fit all of that stuff in, as well as spending some time with your family.
Yeah, that's good questions. Right? Yeah, typically start waking up 6:30 in the morning, because baby usually wakes up at that time as well. So it's just sort of having my schedule try to match with the baby. Mm-hmm. And after that, play with the baby for the first half an hour, because I don't know for the other babies, but for my babies, she's sort of having a very good mood when she just wake up in the morning, 6:30, and laugh and smile a lot, and really enjoy the morning playing with a baby for half an hour. They sort of give me a very good positive energy, I suppose. And after that, wife waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, start doing all the housework, preparing breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. So 7:30 having breakfast together, and then take a shower, go to the office and do all this PhD project stuff. Typically, if I don't teach, I'll prepare a lecture from 2:30 to 5 p.m. If I have a lecture, then it'll be a bit longer, 2:30 to nowadays 2:30 to 8:30. I have to teach, but yeah, we don't talk about that. So 2:30 to 5, preparing for the lecture, teaching materials. 5 o'clock, start working on the business set of bills, get the job done for the clients. Now finish it off 9-10 o'clock. Go back to home and have a dinner. So just like your podcast title, Daddy Eat Last, so I eat last at the family.
So what time's that end up then? By the time you actually go to bed, because you've been up since 6 o'clock, it's 6:30 in the morning. What time do you sort of switch off doing work and go to bed?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, it's typically 12 a.m. or sometimes it can go up to 1 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, so either jump onto the bed, open up the laptop, or maybe on the sofa, just open up the laptop. But during that time, it's quite a bit of chill type of working, not being really under pressure. Just try to get as much work done as possible, but not being under pressure. But yeah, typically finish it off 1 a.m. in the morning and start again.
Do you sleep well? They sort of limit the time that you sleep. Do you sleep well?
Sometimes I don't. But what I learned from, so I was a bodybuilder, until 3 years ago, and in terms of sleeping, I believe it's all about the quality of the sleeping rather than the duration of the sleeping. Yeah. There's a different way of, achieving that goals. For me, one of the tricks that I really like to do is drink one shot of whiskey before you go to sleep, a good whiskey. Typically, it gives me a very good deep sleep, and I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning feeling fresh. No, I don't really feel sore here and there. It's just a good sleep.
Well, I like that. I'll definitely, as a whiskey drinker, I'll definitely take that one up. I try not to have one too close to bed, but I'll try that and see how I sleep. That's That's one I'll definitely take on board. You used to be a bodybuilder up to 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yes. I was.
Oh, that's like being a bodybuilder.
That's not really something that can,
Was there a lot of work involved?
There's a lot of work, a lot of boring stuff, and you basically don't go to a weekend party that much. Most of the time, just dieting, eating a boiled chicken, broccoli, sweet potatoes, boil. And
So
did that for
that's legit. I always see that. Oh, you have to eat chicken and broccoli and sweet potatoes, all just boiled, sort of bland sort of foods. That's real. That's what helps.
yeah,
what helps.
that's real. So the way we treat food, so look at the chicken, you look at how much protein it contains. Look at the sweet potato, it's around 25 grams of carbohydrate and stuff. We don't really enjoy eating that. It just eating is the works that needs to be done for a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So even though you don't like that one, it's your work, so you're gonna get it done. So eat your chickens, eat your meal, eat your broccolis, and go to the gym.
Oh, wow. Well, as a bodybuilder and somebody who's obviously got a keen interest in fitness, do you have any tips out there for people who are just trying to maintain their fitness at the moment?
Yeah, probably the easiest tip that I can give now is just go for a morning cardio, about half an hour to 45 minutes. Moderate intensity cardio, not too intense. So before having breakfast as well, can I emphasize that? Having 2 cups of water and just go for a walk, half an hour, 45 minutes. The science behind that is basically you're having a dinner and lunch on the previous day, and all those sort of nutrition will be used, when you sleep, to repair your body and prepare your body to be ready for the next morning. So by the time that you wake up the next morning, you basically have a very low sugar level or carbohydrate level, because all of those nutrition basically have been used. Then whatever you do in the morning, basically you will burn your fat.
Okay, so I like these health tips. Shot of whiskey before bed, 2 glasses of water, and cardio in the morning. That's achievable. It's not a hard thing for people to do.
Yeah, what it takes is just a dedication.
Yeah,
it's very, doing it every day. I did that 7 years straight, even though I don't really do it at the moment because of the Baba. But what basically you need is just some sort of dedication. So you're gonna hypnotize yourself that say, whatever happened, I need to do it. Second thing is to do it consecutively, continuously for the next 30 days at least, because after 30 days, you basically make, that hard work become a habit, then everything goes really smooth, and it's easier to just get the work done after 30 days.
Well, it sounds like you're a man who's got a lot of good habits around, I guess, work ethic, your dedication, the time you spend with your family and things like that. So, Hendrik, I'd really like to thank you for coming on Daddy Eats Last tonight.
Again, no, it's basically thanks to you. It's been my pleasure to be able to share this experience and information. I hope it's been useful for all those that listen to this podcast.
Yeah. You've had an amazing life so far. I really look forward to seeing how you and your daughter kind of evolve over the next few years, and a lot of good tips on tonight. But that does wrap it up for this week. Do subscribe to Daddy Eats Last on iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review and tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they're guys. Most of all, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week for another episode, or should I say serving, or won't be broccoli and chicken, of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.